it's time for me to talk about the series finale of Supernatural. So, if you're not caught up to the series finale of Supernatural, that's episode 20 of season 15, do not watch this video. Full spoilers ahead. Quick recap for those of you who haven't seen my other videos. I just finished Supernatural for the first time. I watched it over the last 6 months. I'm in very deep, and I'm giving my thoughts and feelings on episodes 18, 19, and 20. The other 2 videos are on my profile. Here are my episode 20 thoughts. One more thing before I dive into my full unfiltered opinion. Just know I am of the camp who did not like the series finale. So if you did, great. I'm honestly genuinely so happy for you because I would have much rather have had that experience than the experience I did have. Unfortunately, I'm of the majority of people who were like, genuinely, what the fuck was that? Also, I think it's worth saying that my negative experience of the series finale does in no way taint the rest of my experience watching the show. It's still one of my favorite shows of all time. I loved basically almost nearly every minute of it up until the end, and I will always and forever consider these characters like family to me. So it does not ruin the rest of the experience, but I will say, yikes. I'm gonna start off with what I did like. The beginning. We could have kept it there. They were living their lives. They were in that bunker being cute and domestic. They had Miracle the dog. Oh my God. You guys, that moment with Dean and the dog jumps on his bed and he like cuddles the dog. Never recovering from that. Just, Sam running and making breakfast and doing laundry and just like living their lives. Finally, I was like, fucking finally, they're living a regular life. God damn, like the way we've waited for this. Very short-lived, but it was sweet. And the pie scene, such a brother moment with the pie in the face, and, Sam is grieving, and of course Dean is grieving in his own way. He doesn't ever, acknowledge it, but he's grieving in his own way. And, we gotta live our lives because otherwise their sacrifice will have been worth nothing. He said it. Are you listening to your own character? Like, I also liked that they were Agent Singer and Kripke. That was a nice little touch. But the lame-ass vampire case. Please be for real. We're in the last episode 300, was it, 27 of this show? And we're doing a lame-ass vampire case? We don't need this. Why are we doing this? You don't need to do it for old time's sake. We've done it enough. Let them live their lives. They're old now. Like, let them rest. But not in the way that they're about to. Like, what? Just, okay, fine. All right, so we're doing a vampire case. I was like, all right. I need you to know ahead of time, though, that I knew this was Dean's last episode. I knew Dean died. I knew it going in, and by the time we reached episode 20, I was like, well, it's got to be this one, because he's still alive at the top of this episode. So as soon as they entered that barn, I was like, please don't tell me this is where it happens, with this lame-ass vampire case. With this mid-ass fight, by the way, of all the fights they've had on Supernatural. Mid. I've been avoiding even thinking about this scene, but we're going to talk about it. The way that Dean Winchester dies is something that made me so sick to my stomach. As soon as it was happening, I was like, I can't even cry yet because I'm so sick to my actual stomach. I don't even know how I'm going to get through this scene. And I almost didn't. And the tears did start. And I cannot tell you how much I am not okay with the way Dean went. I know some people's arguments are like, well, that's what he always wanted. He always wanted like a, Hunter's death on some case, blah, 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 whatever. No, I don't agree. Okay? People can change their minds. There's so much evidence now that Dean was ready to actually live a regular life that he was changing his mind on that. Just because he repeated it doesn't mean that that's true. He's trying to make Sam feel better. This is awful. Like, it's so fucking awful. He had a job application on his desk. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, sorry for the language, but oh my God. And, obviously, beautifully acted by Jensen. Beautifully acted by Jared. I will never recover from Sam telling Dean he can go. Like, I can't even... I'm not gonna cry on here. Just absolutely a horrendous way to watch one of your favorite characters of all time go after he sacrificed his life from the age of 4? He has not had a break. And you give him a few weeks of living in the bunker, and this is what you do to him. Like, this is what you do to your fan base who has loved this story and these characters for nearly 20 years. Like, what? Honestly, what? If the argument was like, well, we need to make sure that they're dead by the end of this so that they don't do another season. That didn't help because you hear the way they're talking about it now. So that argument's null and void. Just leave it open-ended. We would have much rather have been like vague, open-ended, happy ending where we can imagine how the rest of their lives went versus whatever the fuck this shit was. Like, Sam's journey after Dean's death, the heinous Party City wig, the bad aging makeup. Like, I understand some of this is COVID stuff, but like, come on, you guys. Hire an older actor to play like end of life stage Sam. At that point, you don't need to have Jared doing that. He's not saying anything. He's laying in bed dying. Like, just, it was so poorly done. It was so poorly executed that it took me out of the moment. Like, I wanted to be in the emotional moment. I was like, well, this is what we're doing. I want to be in it, but I couldn't be in it because of the fucking wig. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and his grief and the fact that we couldn't even see his wife is just blurred in the background. That's Eileen. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. That is Eileen. Period. All right? And yes, that's great. I'm glad he had a son. He seemed really fucking lonely. Sam seemed beside himself with grief the rest of his life. What a great way to end the character. That's awesome. Love that. And then the heaven stuff too. Okay, great. I'm glad Bobby's there to welcome Dean. I'm glad heaven is better than it was and it's not just a bunch of jail cells. Great. Okay, so Cass kind of got to come back to help rebuild heaven, so then where is he? Okay, so you couldn't get Misha because of COVID? Great. He couldn't have left a note on the table? Signed Cass? Like, there's so many ways you could have gotten around that without it just being vague and weird. Heaven felt so empty, and I know it wasn't supposed to. I know there was supposed to be a big reunion. I know. I know what it was supposed to be, but this wasn't what it was. It felt so odd to me, and then, that fucking cover of Carry On Wayward Son. Please be for real. We already played the original version. We did not need this weird-ass cover afterwards. It was way too much. I was like, okay, cut the cameras. Cut the cameras. We need a redo. Redo. Back to one. This isn't working. I really could go on and on and on, but the thing I really want to say before it cuts me off at 10 minutes is that I have a real personal issue with all stories being like, life sucks and then you die. Great. That is kind of how it is in real life. I don't watch entertainment to be reminded of how reality is. This is literally supernatural. It is literally a fantasy show. It's fantasy. You can write whatever you want. You literally had them basically kill God. Nothing is off the table. That includes a happy ending. You already put us through 15 years of trauma, and you put these boys through, 35 years of trauma? 36 years of trauma? Dean was 40? Almost 41 when he died? You don't need to end his life this way. You don't need to end Sam's life this way. They were setting up such a great arc for Sam to become a leader and for Dean to finally choose a life that's maybe not hunting, or at least is hunting light, or anything different. There's so many ways they could have ended this that would have been such an amazing way to evolve these characters into something. It would have been such an amazing send-off to the fan base, to the story. It would have had such a greater, more impactful message to the audience moving forward. And they just didn't. They were like, we're killing off Dean immediately after the apocalypse and Sam's going to spend the rest of his life in deep grief. What is that teaching us? What is that leaving the audience that invested 2 decades of their lives into this story? What is that giving us? Nothing. And I understand why Jensen was upset. I understand that he says he came around at the end. I don't know if I believe that. But truly, what a disservice I feel to the story to end it this way. And personally, I am just considering this episode as Andrew Dabb's fan fiction of how Supernatural should have ended. I'm going to be on AO3 reading the 800 million other ways it could have ended better. Do you know what I'm saying? Wow. Just wow. Wow. I have nothing else to say. I'm sure many of you agree with me, though.